everybody, Michelle McClunan, Astrologer and Life Navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next new moon, which is happening on the 13th of November in South Africa, which is where I live. It's happening at about 11:30 in the morning, but you can check to see what time it is in your particular part of the world. So this is a very powerful new moon. New moons are always a time to plant new seeds. It's as if we have a chance each month to let go of what we no longer need and to plant new seeds for the next month. So it's almost like a cycle of death and rebirth in constant motion as we move through our lives. And so new moon and a full moon are just symbolic of the death and rebirth. So whatever needs to die, dies each month, and whatever needs to be reborn, gets reborn each month. If you are hearing noises come through on this video, we've got some building happening next door, so please just bear with that. It's a little bit noisy. They've got an angle grinder. So this new moon is in the sign of Scorpio, which is a fixed water sign. There's a lot of fixed energy this new moon. Fixed energy meaning, a little bit difficult to move. It's sort of fixed, it's in one place. But it also gives us a certain amount of resilience. So when we look at Scorpio, which is where the new moon is, we have the sun, we have the moon, and we have a planet called Mars, all together in a tight little group in Scorpio. So that kind of amplifies the energy of it, and it energizes the energy of it. Mars is in its domicile, which means that it's very powerful in the sign of Scorpio. So it almost gives us a little added boost of whatever the sun and the moon in that sign are promising us. So if you look at Scorpio, Scorpio is a sign which is involved with depth, with intensity, with passion. I always see Scorpio as a sign that would be, if you were looking for a dance to compare Scorpio with, it would be the tango. It's not pale, it's not insignificant. It's quite passionate and quite large and noticeable and dramatic. So I see Scorpio as that. It's kind of black and white and love and hate, and it's intense and it's deep. So when the sun moves through Scorpio, which happens every year, it basically is that time to actually go a little bit deeper into our psyche, to find out who we really are, to question ourselves. So to question ourselves, what we're saying to ourselves, the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives, and to question the narratives out there in the world at large as well. Scorpio is the sign of the investigator, the detective. At this new moon, if you go in and you be quiet, you will hear the whispers of your soul. You will hear the consciousness that says, yes, this is an old pattern. Yes, this is a reaction that you don't need to perpetuate anymore. So it's really a time where we can get to know ourselves and actually be more authentic than we have in the past. Now, the new moon is also being amplified in an opposition to the planet Uranus. And it's a very tight opposition. So you've got the sun, the moon, and Mars, all in their tight little party, opposite Uranus in Taurus. Now, Uranus moves very slowly. It takes 84 years to go around the zodiac. And right now, it's right opposite it. So Uranus is the force of change. It's kind of like an electric energy. I see Uranus as the energy of lightning strike. So you're sitting there, everything's wonderful, and the next minute there's a lightning strike and breaks up the surface of the earth and maybe wobbles things. It generally comes out of the blue, it's unexpected, unpredictable, it's not planned, and that's the energy of this Uranus in Taurus activating the new moon. So what that can give rise to, it can give rise to more anxiety than normal. It can, and I know a lot of people are feeling sort of a heightened anxiety or even fear. It can bring kind of an erratic, unstable energy. It's the energy of change, and change is always a little bit unstable because it's unpredictable and we don't know what's going to happen. So it's that kind of energy. So if you're feeling that, you're not alone. It's the collective that's feeling it as well, and you might be picking up on what the collective is feeling. Now, in addition to that, this energy gives us the ability and the impetus to break out of old patterns. So if you can imagine Earth sitting there kind of exactly the same, steady, stable. This is what we do. These are the routines. These are belief systems. This is my pattern. Along comes Uranus and says, breaks it open, go deeper, break it out. It's the energy of getting us out of our comfort zones if we're in comfort zones. And it's the energy of kind of shaking things up to wake things up. So if you're going through a time of change and challenge, see this as an opportunity to awaken to a higher level of consciousness. I've said quite often in my videos that we are going through an evolutionary shift in consciousness. So this new moon, like all new moons, but this one is particularly potent, gives us the opportunity of actually looking at our patterns and looking at our situation, looking at our narratives, looking at those deeply entrenched default patterns that we might kind of get stuck in, the same old circle. It might be habits that we just do every day. It might be a lack of self-care that we just perpetuate. It might be kind of hidden aggression or hidden resentment. Those things could come to the surface. We've still got Pluto very active on the evolutionary axis, so that could come to the surface as well. So we really kind of need to see this as a time where we are being shown what we need to be shown. A lot of people on our groups and in my private consultations have said that I've done this before, and I thought that I kind of got to the point where I had ascended or transcended my old patterns. And these moments on our earth is showing us exactly what we haven't transcended, exactly what we still are dealing with. Whether that's anger, whether that's rage, whether it's sadness, whether it's hopelessness, depression, whatever those things are, might be shown to you. It's not happening for everybody. So if you're one of those that is sailing through this in a beautifully calm way and you're seeing it as an exciting journey, that's amazing. Just keep going and show compassion to those who aren't going through it so easily. Because there are a lot of people in struggle right now. A lot of people are picking up on the collective anxiety, the collective fear. And so it's really about just sort of saying, look, I can't put myself in your shoes, but I can hear you, I can hold space for you, without trying to fix, without trying to advise, without trying to make it better or take the issues away from the person. Just holding a space of compassion is probably one of the most powerful things we can do. And it's also told to us by Scorpio, because Scorpio is a fixed water sign, which is kind of like a dam or lake of water, which is a holding space for water. And water in astrology relates to emotion, relates to feeling, sensitivities. So the Scorpio energy is saying, if you're just present, you can actually hold a space for your own and other people's emotions, what they might be going through. We're assisted by Neptune, which is actually in a trine to the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. So what that's actually helping us to do is, if these deepest parts of us come up, if these old unconscious patterns come up, Neptune is there in a very gentle, compassionate way to allow it, to accept it, to appreciate it, to hold space for it, and allow it to flow through us. Neptune is in the sign of Pisces. It's about flow. So it's not about fixing, it's just about allowing, accepting. Can we accept ourselves as we are, even the ugly parts? So this is really, really an important new moon for us. It really is. It, as I said in the beginning, it's a time always just to plant new seeds. So take some time on the 13th or on the weekend to actually prepare. What would you like to manifest in the next month? How would you like to be in the next month? How would you like to show up in the next month? And obviously it goes further. You can say into the next year. So very, very important time to do that. And I would say that with all this erratic energy, it's really, really important for us to just take the time out. I often say that, but new moon is black moon. It's a time of quiet. It's a time of stillness. And if we can go beneath the surface of the chaos and the conflict that we're seeing in our world, we can go beneath the surface, we can go into our heart space and just open. So open to what's coming through, open to what you're being shown, open to the situation that's providing itself for you, without judgment. So just notice your own judgments. Notice where you say, this shouldn't be happening, why is it happening, it always happens. Those stuck records, that's what we're being shown. We're also supported by Venus being in Libra, and Libra is a sign of balance, a sign of peace, it's a sign of harmony. So Venus is actually showing us how we actually can work with this energy. Not to go to war, not to go to conflict, but rather to stay in the middle of the scale. That's Libra. So the balance point of the scale is right in the middle. So for us to stay in the center of the wheel, and as soon as we feel ourselves going out onto the circumference of the wheel, where we start to spin out towards future, what's going to happen in the future, or past, what should have happened and didn't happen and could have happened, we bring ourselves back into the center. And just keep doing that over and over again. Anytime during the day, it would be a good thing to just put your hand on your heart and say, how am I feeling right now? And then open more to that. As soon as we close, we block the flow. And then we entrench those patterns even more. So if we can just open and say, this is what I'm feeling right now. You don't have to name it. It's just noticing what you're feeling. The tendency is often to go back to the head and say, why am I feeling this? Where did it come from? Did this happen when I was 5? Is it a trigger when I was 8? You don't have to do that. Because, how far back do you want to go? So it's just to acknowledge what is happening in the moment and to accept the unknown. One of the affirmations that I use often is, I accept the fact that I don't know. One of the things for sure at these times is that change is going to continue. This is a time of great, great change on our planet. I think that we might see some serious weather conditions as well in our world. Hopefully not more weather disasters, but this alignment with the new moon could actually result in a little bit more of that sort of erratic weather and erratic conflict between nations, between people. Our conscious evolution is to stay in a place where we don't have to engage in that conflict. We can see it, we can look at it, we can assist if we need to assist, but we don't have to be in it. We don't have to be involved in it. So I pulled a card for this one because it is a powerful new moon. And I pulled the card Kuan Yin, who is the goddess of compassion. Kuan Yin represents the presence that listens deeply to our prayers spoken from the heart. So I'm just going to read you a little bit from this card. Kuan Yin is about the deep medicine that comes simply from being willing to bear witness to someone else's pain. To really listen, we have to move from the ego to the soul so that the story we are listening to doesn't become about us or trigger us. This also applies to the moments when we are listening to the story we tell ourselves about who we are. We are often far harsher and less forgiving to ourselves than we would ever be to someone else. Kuan Yin suggests that we listen simply with curiosity. Curiosity allows us to detach from needing to take the suffering of someone we love personally. Curiosity is a door that leads to compassion. It frees us from feeling as though we have to react to what we hear or defend and explain our part in their suffering or our own suffering. We can just perceive the pain that they're in or that we're in. Or we can finally hear our own cries of despair and not seek to justify or judge them. We can just be present to what needs to be heard. Kuan Yin is the powerful energy of giving witness to our own or someone else's suffering. Often, just a calm, abiding presence of compassion is all that is needed to transform the suffering into clear light. Soul voice meditation on this card is what pain or suffering can I listen to now with curiosity. It's very different to listen to something, to witness something with curiosity than it is to listen with a sense of judgment or the desire to fix it. It's just, this is interesting. This is arising. I've just been triggered. Isn't that interesting? You can feel the difference. It's much lighter than the tendency to say, why is this happening? It shouldn't be happening. And what must I do about it? It's different energy. The intention is I recognize suffering in order to release it. Curiosity breeds compassion. Isn't that beautiful? This is from the Divine Feminine Pack by Megan Watterson, which is my favorite pack and seems to just deliver every single time. That card actually popped out. So deep compassion and a sense of calm. Bring yourself into the calm space. Take yourself out from the surface of all the noise and bring yourself down deeper into that core of calm that is there underneath the noise. If you would like to book a reading, you're welcome to contact me. My details are below through my website. And if you like this video, please share and press the notification button and subscribe. It really helps to get the message out there. Take time over this weekend to be quiet, to be kind, to be peaceful, and we'll move through this with grace. Just remember, we're moving through this. We're in it. We're moving through it. There's no going back. We can't unknow what we know. And it's a place of unknowing the future. So the best thing is just to accept what's happening now and to stay there or stay here as much as possible. Thank you so much for listening and have a beautiful weekend.